Hello everyone, welcome to Lokmanya. My name is Mark Kinra and today I am going to interview Mr. Salih Hudayar. Mr. Hudayar is PM of East Turkestan Government-in-Exile and has been advocating independence of East Turkestan. He is also the founder of East Turkestan National Awakening Movement. He was one of the prime advocates of Uyghur Human Rights and Policy Act, which were recently signed by the US President and is in effect since June 17, 2020. Mr. Hudayar, welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So, my first question to you: what made you start this movement of Uyghur independence, and did you become their PM in exile at such a young age?
Effectively, the cause of East Turkestan independence, I mean, this has been something that's been going on for over a century. In fact, the original founder of our national awakening movement, Abdulkadir Damallam, he passed away in the 1920s. His son, had actually demonstrated alongside Gandhi in India, and so much of our independence activities, leadership at that time, they had gained knowledge in India. However, over the past twice, we declared independence in 1933 and 1944. Since 1949, we've been effectively occupied by China, but our people have been effectively continuing to struggle to restore our independence. It's only that in the past decade that here in the United States and the West that we have been active on this realm. In 2017, I founded the East Turkestan National Awakening Movement, which was originally founded by Abdulkadir Damallam in the early 20th century. And our goal was to restore East Turkestan's independence as a secular, pluralistic, democratic republic. Because right now we feel that there's no way to ensure our basic human rights, our freedoms, and our very existence other than having our own state. If we're not an independent state, no other government, no other country will guarantee, our protection of our people, will guarantee our rights. So the only way that we can maintain those rights and our existence is by having our own state. So I made this a priority. I initiated the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act, the Uyghur Act, which later became known as the Uyghur Human Rights Policy Act. It was after gaining, widespread support from our diaspora community that I was actually pressured by them to run for office in the East Turkestan government in exile. And because I was educated here in the West, more vocal, I had a bit of understanding of not only of our history, but also politics in the United States. Our people felt that I was more, despite being young, that I was more feasible as a leader for our movement.
Could you please highlight a bit about the relation you said uh, between Mr. Gandhi and the founder of East Turkestan National Awakening Movement?
Yes, so the East Turkestan National Awakening Movement was originally founded by Abdulkadir Damallam. But when he founded it, his son, Abdulaziz Makhzoom, was actually studying in India alongside many of our other leaders, including our first prime minister of the first East Turkestan Republic. He was in India when rebellion had broken out in East Turkestan, and he later came to East Turkestan in 1932 and helped establish the first East Turkestan Republic. Um, Abdulaziz Makhzoom was studying in India in the late 19th century and early 20th century, and he had participated in numerous pro-independence activities by Gandhi, and it was there that he learned what patriotism was, and began to learn about anti-colonialism, and began to advocate this in East Turkestan as well. So we have much of our original pro-independence leaders were actually influenced by Gandhi and others in India.
It's really great to hear, sir. Even I was not aware about other Uyghur organizations like Uyghur American Association Uyghur Human Rights Project, and World Uyghur Congress do not fully support your call for complete independence. How is it affecting your movement, and what's your equation with them?
So, unfortunately, these organizations, as you said, they don't support independence. At least openly, they don't. To our people, they say they do, but to the international community, the Westerners, they are too shy about it. This actually ties back to their original leaders, the people that they view as leaders, like Asa Aliptikin, who was actually a KMT puppet. He served the Nationalist Chinese Republic, the Republic of China. He opposed both East Turkestan republics, both the first East Turkestan Republic and the second East Turkestan Republic. In fact, when he was offered refuge in India in 1949, instead of staying in India, he said, "Oh, we're Muslims. India is a Hindu state, so we rather be in Turkey." If he had not made that strategic mistake, today our exile government would have been probably based in India instead of here in Washington D.C. Our relationship with them is that we we try to cooperate with all organizations in our community, but we don't we respect whatever opinion they have, but the overwhelming majority of our people want independence. And so if they speak in terms that oppose our people's interest, obviously we criticize them for that, and we won't stand silent to their activities or statements that undermine our people's interest.
Last month, your exiled government and East Turkestan National Awakening Movement filed a complaint in the International Criminal Court against China for Uyghur genocide and crime against humanity. China is not a signatory to the ICC. So, do you think that ICC can give you justice?
I think that if we hold enough, if other countries, other states support this initiative, I think that we will be able to get some justice. Because you had more recently, you had the International Criminal Tribunal for Yugoslavia. This was what led to the creation of ultimately the ICC. Prior to there was being an ICC, there was actually this tribunal, and after this is when they decided to establish the ICC. Even though China is not a signatory, we saw from the Rohingya case, with the case of Myanmar, that if the crime commit is happened in one country or another, like if we were to flee to our people fled to Tajikistan, and Tajikistan is a signatory of that act. And so they participated or were complicit in the crimes against humanity against our people. So therefore, the ICC has jurisdiction, and we are hoping that we can achieve, get justice for our people. The U.S. government, 3 days after we put this petition, the U.S. This complaint, the U.S. government sanctioned 4 Chinese officials, 2 of which was on that list. Friday, the U.S. government sanctioned the Bingtuan, which is the Chinese Paramilitary Production Corps, which is the main force in the China's occupation, colonization of East Turkestan, and the genocide of its people. 3.5 million strong paramilitary force. They sanctioned them and their leaders, which we had also wrote in our complaint to the ICC. If we can get more other countries across the world to support this case at the ICC, there will be no doubt that the ICC will investigate this and seek to prosecute the Chinese officials.
The world and especially the West continues to engage with China. Do you think they are overlooking the genocide? And what about the Muslim world?
I think a lot of Western companies are indeed overlooking the genocide. A lot of Western countries are also overlooking the genocide because they want to maintain economic ties or close ties with China. It's not like they don't know what's happening. I think they're fully aware of what's happening, but they're just, because of their economic interests, remaining silent. especially the Muslim world. The Muslim world has been completely silent on our issue. Not only have they been silent, they've actually been supporting China's efforts in East Turkestan, which China calls counterterrorism. In fact, more recently, last year, you had 57 countries, mostly more than half of them Muslim majority countries, signing on to a letter at the UN praising China. This year, you had 54 countries. Again, more than half of them were Muslim majority countries. Muslim countries, like Turkey, for example, which is both ethnically Turkic and it claims the current administration claims that it's on the side of the oppressed, like Erdogan. He has repeatedly stated that he's on the side of the oppressed. But this past month, they blocked a resolution in the Turkish parliament that would call on the Turkish state, Turkish government, to investigate the atrocities, and this was blocked by the AKP party, which is the ruling party in Turkey. So unfortunately, the Muslim countries are not supportive of our issue, and I don't think they will be supportive anytime in the near future.
Right. I even read in a news report some time back that Turkey even deported some people, ethnically Uyghur people from Turkey to some third country. From there, they can be taken back to China.
Yes, this is actually Tajikistan. Turkey has deported several Uyghurs from Turkey to Tajikistan, and then Tajikistan deported them to China-occupied East Turkestan, where they were sent to concentration camps and prisons. In fact, Turkey holds over 1,092 Uyghurs currently in detention pending deportation to Tajikistan or some other country, and then to ultimately to China.
Right. So, do you think that with the current situation, like since the pandemic has happened and there have been certain negligence by China, which has come to the fore of the world and everything, do you think the situation will change with the time and the free world also now looking into various kind of aspects, because there's also a lot of aggression between China and other countries, also with India. Do you think that free world or the countries where democracies are still alive, do you think that there will be some kind of objections by the free world what's happening, and I think that will gain momentum?
Absolutely. I mean, already the U.S. has been leading the charge against China, especially on this issue. You had this last week, the past several weeks actually, especially after the ICC filing. You had the UK, you had the Canadian Parliament, you had the French Parliament, raising their objections and calling on their governments to take action against these atrocities. We're hoping that India will do the same thing as well, Japan and others as well. It's Australia. We're hoping that they will, join in and speak out. Not only speak out, but actually take serious actions like economic sanctions, political demarches, and supporting, enacting laws, resolutions to support, Uyghurs and East Turkestan.
India and East Turkestan have been neighbors since centuries. How can India help you guys?
So the first thing that India can do, I mean, we have a long historical relationship with India. I mean, our relationship with India goes back thousands of years. We've engaged in cultural and economic exchanges over these many millennia. India was the first country to open its arm to open its doors and its arms to us when we fled Chinese occupation in 1949. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, our leaders at that time, or so-called leaders at that time, made a strategic mistake, and instead of staying in India, they decided to go to Turkey and other places. Um, so what we ask from things that India can do even today is to grant, refuge to Uyghurs and other East Turkestanis. They can, allow us to set up an office for the government in exile, based out of an office in India, like Tibetan exile government, to recognize, to treat our issue on, you know similar on the same level as the Tibetan issue, by recognizing East Turkestan's status as an occupied country, and working to support us diplomatically, financially, through the media, raising our issue at the international level. These are all things that India can and should do in the meantime. India, like East Turkestan, is of great strategic importance for China, but it is also of great strategic importance for India. India has a lot of it's a developing country, has a huge potential for economic growth. India needs mineral resources, raw materials, and natural resources, especially oil and energy, all of which East Turkestan has. India is trying to build, a pipeline through, get energy through Turkmenistan, through others, and this would mean crossing through multiple countries, including Afghanistan and Pakistan. At the current geopolitical situation, there's no way that Pakistan or Afghanistan will allow that to happen. Whereas East Turkestan, we're right above India. It would be much easier, much economically efficient, and much easier to create a pipeline to transport energy and much other needed raw materials to boost India's economy in the future. Also, from a strategic security perspective, East Turkestan is the cornerstone of China's One Belt, One Road initiative. India would have no border problems left if East Turkestan is independent. Similarly, the level of terrorism threats faced by India would be reduced drastically, given that it's actually China that supports Pakistan and other terrorist organizations to pose this immense threat to India's security. So take away China from the picture, take away East Turkestan from China, independent country, a weaker Pakistan, which means less terrorist threat to India's security.
I think what you said was absolutely true. Mr. Hudayar, thank you very much for your time. I hope that we can connect back again soon and bring your word to the world for, and so that India can also learn more about the issue. And it was really a pleasant experience to speak to you.
Likewise, thank you so much.